Hello and welcome to the JC Log Podcast episode 10, Stress-Free Content Formula. Yay! So I made it to episode 10 of this podcast. I'm very happy about it. This is a celebrative moment for me. I know 10 sounds not like a lot, but I know from experience that at least for me it's a big milestone. Not many people make it until 10 episodes before they stop. I made podcasts before, but there were a couple of things that got me through further this time before I only made it to episode 3 of the type of podcast I was doing back then. And I also tried a lot of other content ideas during my time online, and not all of them worked. And I fell for some traps and got caught up with some bumps in the road that made me stop. But now I have some pretty good ideas and strategies to keep me going, and I wanted to share them with you on this celebrative episode. In this short edition of the JC Luck podcast, I'm going to talk about the following things. Number 1, why procrastination is avoidance and not laziness. Number 2, making an identity shift from creator to publisher. And number 3 will be my personal deadline strategy that helps me get through episodes and hit my deadlines every single time now for the last 10 episodes. If you have watched episode 9 of the JC Log podcast, you will know that I sort of touched on the same topic. In that episode I talked more about the outward creation process, so how you can feel stressed or insecure about the content that you're making, the arts that you're making during your digital escapism content creation sessions. And this episode 10 is more inward focused, dealing with things like procrastination and hitting deadlines and the stress that comes from those type of things. We are at the end now of Stress Awareness Month, almost at the end of Stress Awareness Month here in April 2026. So I thought it was good to also touch on this topic at this moment. It felt like a good moment at episode 10 to talk a little bit about my own experiences dealing with the stress of making the episodes and the content and hitting those deadlines and getting that content out. So yeah, let's dive into it. It's gonna be a short episode because I'm very short on time, and maybe that's tip number 1. Like, if you're doing a podcast and you feel low on time, don't feel afraid to put out rough content. I talked about that before in previous episodes, also in episode 9. And be creative and out of the box. And perhaps if you need to run errands like I need to do today, maybe shoot your video during your walk while being outside already, just to save a little bit of time, and so that you have the opportunity to show beautiful surroundings like parks and nature settings like where I am now. So that is a great opportunity to just get out of your normal setting, maybe of your office, and show your viewers some unique view, and of course like escape for yourself a little bit as well. I've never been here before, so this is a good opportunity for me to also explore a little bit and save some time while I'm running errands and shooting this video at the same time. Busy, but that is the deal I made with myself. And without further ado, let's get into how I make that deal with myself in terms of procrastination and my focus as a content creator and deadlines. Let's get to point 1, which is procrastination is not always laziness. So of course you can be a lazy person who doesn't want to do many things, but I assume that in this context, like, you are a content creator, you love what you're doing, you make podcasts, videos, or music, or whatever it is online for your audience, that it's not laziness that you have to deal with, or a lack of interest in your work. For my personally, I feel that it often has to do with having to expose yourself there. You have to be on camera, and that can be a big deal for some people, and you have to talk maybe from a live stream, and that isn't always easy. I talked about in my previous episode 9 of the JC Lug podcast, and in previous episodes, about just getting started and doing it. because to just get over that procrastination bump, sometimes it just only takes a few minutes. Like it can be rough, like you need to set up a lot of things, maybe you need to go outside like me today, and a lot of same things at the same time can happening if you're in the production process. You have to make your art, you have to make sure that your video materials are ready and all of that stuff, and that can be a lot and it can be overwhelming. So don't always feel bad thinking that it's just laziness. You have to make a big step to get it ready, and that is perfectly normal. Everybody feels that, I feel that as well, but just getting started is so important, guys. I talked about it in the previous episode as well. Once you start doing, you get into that flow, and that flow comes pretty quick. Maybe in a couple minutes you just get into it and you do it, but that initial start, it can be hard sometimes just because there's so much to do. But make yourself a commitment. Just don't think about, oh, this video is going to take me like all day to make, or I need a couple hours at least. Just think about 5 or 10 minutes. 5 or 10 minutes that you're going to work on that, and after those 10 minutes working on it, you often feel that you want to continue. You stop thinking about procrastination and all the time that it will cost. I use this with a lot of the things that I do, not only my online content creation, but also with my freelance work. Sometimes it's hard to get started on a big project, like you're looking at a big mountain, but I tell myself, okay, I set a clock and I'm going to work on this for like 20 minutes, and before I know it, I am far ahead and I'm at hour 2, and I really feel like I don't want to stop. Right? You start with you don't want to start, but then you slightly move into you don't want to stop to get out of that flow. And as long as you feel that, keep going. Like, take advantage of that momentum. Might take a break, but don't take too long of a break, because then you might have to deal again with that procrastination feeling. Let's go to point 2, making the identity shift from creator to publisher. If you're an artist and a creator, in a lot of cases you will do it for yourself. Maybe you write like for diary, or you do some drawing for relaxing. But of course, like if you do it for an audience, to take them along on your intentional escapism adventure, your mind shift needs to be a little bit different. You need to make the shift from just doing it for yourself and being comfortable enough with showing your work out there. And I talked about that in my previous episode, that work doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, it's good enough, but you still, of course, need to do it and show it. And of course, that has a strong connection with the procrastination part. Like, you might feel uncomfortable about that and maybe pause it or postpone it. That is another thing that you need to overcome. Okay, it's good enough, but of course you still need to produce. So that is a little bit different than what I talked about in my previous episode. Like, there still needs to be something. No, it doesn't have to be good, but the paper needs to not be empty. Make sure that you are productive and actually show something. This is also something, again, that you just start writing, start sketching, start making some sounds if it's more like music or sound related that you're doing, and just get into that flow of creating, so that you don't have to sit there thinking about what I'm gonna make. Just empty your mind, just start, even if you don't have an idea yet. Ideas often come flowing in once you're busy, and maybe you're making a drawing and you think like, okay, maybe there can be like a tree on the left or right in this case, or the left or the right on your case, and maybe I can put some leaves there, and that is how you get into that flow. So empty paper is a big wall, but push yourself to get over that step and just do it. Hit the record button, because once that record button is there, there's a little bit of extra pressure to perform, of course. So that is another tip I want to give. Like, hit the record button even if you're not ready. You can always cut, well, except for if it's live stream, of course, but you can always edit the video and remove a lot of the things that you don't like. But hit that record button so that you're at least like in the process of producing, and feel that you are a publisher or a creator. And it's a good way to get started. It's like, even when you're procrastinating. And when you need to still set things up, I often do that when I go live. Before I really like set my whole life setting up, but now I work in the garden a lot on my lives, setting up a gnome garden, for example. And before I would arrange things, but now I make that part of the process. I just turn on the play button or the live recording button, and I start setting up things, and it keeps me going. So if you feel like you're procrastinating, or you feel like you don't know exactly what you want to put on paper or put out there in terms of the art that you are making, just hit record and go. So that is point number 2 that I wanted to talk about in this episode. And the last thing I want to mention is a deadline strategy that I took on in this new series of podcasts that I'm doing, from which I noticed that it really helps me to get my content out and my episodes out. And it's really simple. Yes, in my previous episode I talked about how it can help if you feel insecure about your work to scroll back to the early works of another creator that you really enjoy watching or listening to, just to see that they also started from nothing and had to build up the quality of their content slowly over time, and that it wasn't always that good in the beginning, and that is alright, and that can give you confidence. And another thing that I noticed that helped me when I was scrolling to the content of one of the creators that I follow, and I always like to do that. I like to go back to the start, just for the reason that I mentioned, and to see like, hey, how did it look like when they started, and how does it compare to how they are now? And one idea that popped up was not only just looking at their content and also getting ideas from that, but I thought like, hey, this content creator probably also started from a point of busyness and having a full-time job perhaps before becoming successful or more prolific in creating content, unless it's a famous person, of course. Might be a person that was in a similar situation as that you are right now, with a busy schedule, like having to deal with house talks and work and maybe family life. And so I thought like, okay, if I just follow along with their publishing schedule, obviously it worked for them because they have been going on for like a long time. Of course, that is if you do this with a creator that has been publishing content for years, and they are still around. Choose a creator like that, go back to their content, and their content publishing rhythm or schedule might reveal a good rhythm for you as well, and might be appropriate. I believe this content creator started his first episode on his website on day 23 of the month. So I thought like, okay, maybe I can do the same. And from that moment on, I sort of started to following along, publishing on the same days of the month as that publisher. And I've been doing that for 10 episodes now, and I noticed that it gives me sort of like a clear red line on where I need to stop. The problem often is with deadlines, like if you set them for yourself, they can be hard. There's nobody else pushing you to complete them. It's not like with freelance work or normal office day job or something, that there's like a boss behind you that is pushing you to complete it, and that there are consequences. So if you don't set a good rule for yourself, you might just end up thinking like, oh, I do this tomorrow because I'm busy now, or I don't really feel like it. Procrastination part maybe will come up, or like I don't really feel it today, or I want to do something else today. But if there's a hard rule, a hard stop, it will work, and you need to find that for yourself. This method works for me. Maybe for you it's something else. Maybe you have another way of like sort of forcing those deadlines. Maybe you can make an agreement with someone that there's a consequence, that you have to give that person, I don't know, a package of cookies every time you don't make the deadline or something like that, something innocent. But for me, I noticed this really works so far. So I feel that has really contributed to me getting to 10 episodes now. And I will continue doing this, and I can really recommend it to do it as well. Again, choose a creator that has a reasonable publishing schedule, and that preferably not a famous person, because they have more time probably than what you would have in the beginning. This is a famous person that has a lot of money and a lot of research and a team. So that is maybe not a good person to follow if that person just started out putting content for him or herself. But in a sort of normal daytime job, having creator that went from doing it on the side to doing it full time, following someone like that, their publishing schedule can be really good to get your content out. With that being said, I'm gonna wrap up the episode for today. I hope this information provided me valuable for you. I'm gonna continue to make on more podcasts. I hope to celebrate with you my next milestone, which I think I will set at 50 podcasts. Let's see if my advice still works, and if I overcame my own feelings of procrastination and troubles with procrastination, and if I'm able to deal in a stress-free way with my content process. I hope you can in the future. I hope this helps. I hope that it will relieve some stress and some doubts for you, also in relation to the previous episode that I published today as well. And I wish you a fun creation process. Enjoy the art that you're making, enjoy the content that you're making. Make that intentional escapism adventure fun, not only for yourself but also for the people around you. I wish you all a good day, and I close off with a beautiful view of Bilbao this Wednesday morning. It's again a beautiful day, and it was a beautiful spot to make this podcast for you guys. Stay strong, fellow travelers, and I see you in episode number 11. Let's go.
All this time, I've been holding on so tight, 'cause all that I do was easy to use. So call my time, but you